My girlfriend pulled me aside outside her family's charity gala. "Don't say too much about your job. These people are out of your league," she said. I nodded and fell behind. When the main donor arrived, he barely looked at her. He came straight to me, smiled, and said something that instantly shifted the way everyone in that lobby looked at us. I, 30, male, stood outside the Plaza Grand Hotel, while my girlfriend Nicole pulled me into the shadow of a marble column. We had been together for 14 months. "Listen," she said, her voice low and careful. "Don't say too much about your job tonight. These people are out of your league, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable." I nodded. "Sure. Whatever you think is best." She smiled, relieved, and squeezed my hand before walking ahead into the glittering lobby. I fell back 3 steps, then 5, watching her glide into her family's charity gala like she belonged under chandeliers. That was the moment I realized what I had been ignoring for over a year. Nicole had never introduced me as her boyfriend at family events. She introduced me as a friend. She had never posted a single photo of us together. And tonight, she had dressed me down. 2 hours earlier, she had walked into my apartment while I was buttoning a tailored navy suit. "That's too much," she said. "Wear the gray one. The cheaper one. You'll blend in better." I changed without asking why. But standing in that lobby, watching her laugh with her cousin near the silent auction table, I felt the weight of every small cut she had made. The comments about my car. The way she always paid when her friends were around. The time she told her mother I worked in tech support. I didn't work in tech support. I was the founder and CEO of MedBridge, a healthcare logistics app that had just closed Series B funding 3 weeks ago. $30 million. The deal had been covered in TechCrunch, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal. Nicole knew. She had been in the room when I signed the term sheet. The main donor arrived at 8:15. I had met Nicole at a networking mixer in February of last year. She worked in event planning for her family's nonprofit foundation, a mid-sized organization that funded community health programs across the state. She was sharp, polished, and confident in a way that made me feel like I had won something just by making her laugh. Our first 3 months were easy. We went to small restaurants, watched movies at her place, spent weekends hiking in state parks. She never asked much about my work, and I didn't push it. I was still in the grind phase, raising seed money, pitching investors, sleeping 4 hours a night. By summer, I had a team of 12 and a prototype that was getting real traction with hospital networks. I told Nicole about it one night over takeout. She smiled and said, "That's great, babe," then changed the subject to her upcoming work retreat. I didn't think much of it, but the pattern started to build. When I mentioned a successful pitch, she would nod and say, "Cool," then talk about her day. When I invited her to a product launch event, she said she had plans. When I got my first major client contract, worth $200,000 in annual recurring revenue, she congratulated me with a text. One line. No follow-up. Her family was different. They were old money adjacent, the kind of people who summered in the Hamptons and knew senators by first name. Her father ran a private equity firm. Her mother sat on 3 nonprofit boards. Her older brother managed a hedge fund. I met them twice. Both times, Nicole introduced me as a friend who works in tech. The second time, her mother asked what I did. Before I could answer, Nicole said, "He's in app development. Small stuff, mostly contracts." I let it go. I told myself she was protecting me from their scrutiny. I told myself it didn't matter. But it did. By fall, I had closed my Series A round. $4 million from a venture firm in Boston. I took Nicole to dinner at a place with white tablecloths and told her the news. She kissed me and said, "I'm proud of you." Then she asked if we could split the check because she had overspent on a new purse. I paid. I always paid. The gala invitation came in late October. Nicole handed it to me on a Sunday morning while we were having coffee at her apartment. "My family does this every year," she said. "It's formal. Black tie. You'll need to rent a tux." I already owned a tux. I had bought it for investor meetings. "Do you want me to go?" I asked. She hesitated. "Yeah. I mean, if you're comfortable. It's not really your scene, but it could be fun." Not my scene. I filed that away with the rest of the small humiliations. The week before the gala, I closed Series B, $30 million. Lead investor was Marcus Hale, a legendary figure in health tech who had built and sold 2 companies for a combined $3 billion. He was also the keynote donor at Nicole's family gala. I didn't tell Nicole about Marcus. I didn't tell her he was coming to the event. I didn't tell her he had personally called me 3 days before the gala to say he was looking forward to seeing me there. I just said, I'll be there. The night of the gala, Nicole came to my place to get ready. She looked stunning in a black gown, hair pulled back, diamond earrings her grandmother had given her. She watched me button my navy suit and frowned. That's too formal, she said. You'll stand out. Wear the gray one. The gray suit was off the rack from 2 years ago, before Medbridge took off. It fit poorly. The shoulders sagged. But I changed into it without arguing. In the car, she was quiet. I drove because she said she wanted to have a glass of wine and relax. 10 minutes from the hotel, she turned to me. Just be yourself tonight, she said. But maybe don't talk too much about work. These people can be intimidating, and I don't want you to feel out of place. I nodded. I didn't say that I had spent the last 6 months in rooms with people who managed billion-dollar portfolios. I didn't say that I had pitched to venture capitalists who made her father's equity firm look small. I just said, I'll follow your lead. She smiled and touched my hand. Thanks for understanding. When we pulled up to the Plaza Grand, valets were opening doors for guests in tailored tuxedos and gowns that cost more than my first car. Nicole stepped out and waited for me to hand over the keys. Then she walked ahead, her heels clicking on marble, while I trailed behind like an assistant. The ballroom was massive. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings. Round tables draped in white linen filled the space, each one set with gold-rimmed plates and fresh orchids. A string quartet played near the stage. Waiters in white gloves carried trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Nicole's family had rented the entire venue. 200 guests. Tickets started at $500. The evening's goal was to raise $2 million for their health initiative fund. I recognized some of the faces from business magazines. CEOs, investors, a retired governor. Nicole's father, Richard, stood near the bar in a custom tuxedo, laughing with a man I recognized as the managing partner of a top law firm. Nicole touched my arm. Stay close, she said. Then she walked straight to her mother. I hung back near a column, watching her hug her mom, then her brother, then her cousin. She laughed at something her aunt said. She accepted a glass of champagne from a waiter. She looked completely at ease. I felt like a prop. A waiter offered me champagne. I took it and sipped slowly, scanning the room. I spotted Marcus Hale near the silent auction table, talking with 2 men I didn't recognize. He was in his mid-50s, silver hair, tailored tuxedo, the kind of presence that made people lean in when he spoke. He hadn't seen me yet. Nicole returned 10 minutes later with her cousin, a woman named Lauren who worked in finance. This is Jason, Nicole said. He works in tech. Lauren smiled politely. What do you do in tech? I opened my mouth, but Nicole cut in. App development. Small business stuff. Nothing too exciting. Lauren nodded and turned back to Nicole. Did you see the Cartier bracelet in the auction? I'm bidding on it. They walked away. I stayed near the column, sipping champagne, watching the room. Nicole's father gave a speech about the foundation's mission. Her mother introduced the board members. A video played on a screen above the stage, showing the health programs they funded. Clinics in underserved areas. Mobile units for rural communities. Scholarships for nursing students. It was good work. I respected it. But the whole evening felt like theater. The speeches were polished. The applause was rehearsed. Everyone in the room knew their role. Except me. I didn't have a role. I was just Nicole's accessory. The boyfriend she kept in the background. At 8:10, the MC announced the evening's keynote donor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marcus Hale, founder of Vanguard Health Solutions and lead investor in this year's initiative. The room erupted in applause. Marcus walked to the stage, waved, and gave a short speech about the importance of accessible healthcare. He talked about innovation. He talked about partnerships between nonprofits and private sector solutions. He mentioned a new program the foundation was launching with a tech company to improve hospital logistics. He didn't name the company, but I knew which one he meant. When he finished, the applause was thunderous. Marcus stepped off the stage and was immediately surrounded by guests. Nicole's father shook his hand. Her mother kissed his cheek. A line formed to talk to him. Nicole turned to me. He's the biggest donor we've ever had, she whispered. My dad's been courting him for 2 years. I nodded. I didn't tell her Marcus and I had dinner 3 weeks ago in Boston. I didn't tell her he had called me the best healthcare founder he had seen in a decade. I just said, he seems impressive. She smiled. Stay here. I'm going to say hello. She walked toward Marcus, weaving through the crowd. I watched her extend her hand, introduce herself, smile in that polished way she had perfected. Marcus nodded politely, shook her hand, said something brief. Then he looked past her. His eyes scanned the room. They landed on me. He smiled. Marcus excused himself from Nicole mid-sentence and walked straight toward me. The crowd parted slightly, heads turning to follow his path. Nicole stood frozen, her smile locked in place, her hand still half extended. I straightened, setting my champagne glass on a passing waiter's tray. Marcus reached me and extended his hand. Jason, I didn't know you'd be here. I shook his hand. Good to see you, Marcus. He turned to the small crowd that had followed him, including Nicole's father, her mother, and 3 board members I didn't recognize. Everyone, Marcus said, his voice carrying over the string quartet. This is Jason Chun, founder and CEO of MedBridge. Nicole's father blinked. Her mother's smile faltered. The board members leaned in with sudden interest. Marcus continued. Jason's company is the healthcare logistics platform I mentioned in my speech. We just closed his Series B round 3 weeks ago. $30 million. The app is going to revolutionize how hospitals manage patient transfers and equipment tracking. One of the board members, a man in his 60s with wire-rimmed glasses, stepped forward. You're the MedBridge founder? I read about your platform in the journal. Incredible work. I nodded. Thank you. We're excited about the growth. Nicole's father extended his hand, his expression shifting from confusion to sharp calculation. Richard Carmichael, Nicole's father. I had no idea you were, well, involved in that level of work. I shook his hand. We haven't had much chance to talk. Marcus clapped me on the shoulder. Jason's being modest. His app is already deployed in 42 hospital networks across 7 states. The data efficiency alone is saving hospitals millions in operational costs. And he built the whole thing from the ground up. No family money. No safety net. Just grit and vision. The crowd around us had grown. People were listening now. Phones were subtly angled toward us. I could see Nicole on the edge of the group, her face pale, her champagne glass trembling slightly in her hand. Her mother stepped closer. Jason, I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Eleanor Carmichael. How long have you known Marcus? About 8 months, I said. He reached out after reading about our seed round. We've been working together on strategic growth ever since. Marcus laughed. Working together is an understatement. Jason runs circles around half the founders I've funded. I told him last week, if he keeps this trajectory, MedBridge will be a billion-dollar company in 5 years. Richard's eyes widened. A billion-dollar valuation? Marcus nodded. Conservative estimate. The board member with the wire-rimmed glasses pulled out his phone. Do you have a card? I'd love to set up a meeting. We've been looking for a tech partner for our hospital outreach program. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a business card. Simple. White stock. My name. My title. My contact information. I handed it to him. I'd be happy to discuss it, I said. 3 more people asked for cards. I handed them out calmly, answering questions about the platform, the funding round, the partnerships we were building. Nicole's father stood to my left, his expression unreadable. Her mother hovered nearby, watching me with a new kind of attention. Nicole didn't move. She stood 10 feet away, her face a mask of forced composure, her champagne glass now empty. Marcus eventually excused himself to greet other guests, but the crowd around me didn't disperse. People wanted to know about the app. They wanted to know about the funding. They wanted to know how I had built it. I answered every question with the same calm precision I used in boardrooms. No arrogance. No boasting. Just facts. At 8:40, Richard touched my arm. Jason, could I have a word in private? I nodded. Of course. He led me to a quieter corner near the silent auction table. Eleanor followed. Nicole trailed behind, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. Richard turned to me, his posture stiff. I'll be direct. I had no idea you were involved in that level of business. Nicole never mentioned it. I glanced at Nicole. She looked at the floor. I don't talk about work much, I said evenly. Eleanor stepped closer. Marcus Hale doesn't invest in small ventures. If he's putting $30 million into your company, you're clearly doing something extraordinary. I nodded. We've been fortunate to have strong investor support. Richard folded his arms. Nicole told us you worked in app development. Contracts. Small projects. I met his gaze. That's one way to describe it. Nicole finally spoke, her voice tight. I didn't think it was relevant. Her father's jaw tightened. Her mother's expression turned sharp. Not relevant. Eleanor said, Jason just secured one of the largest funding rounds in healthcare tech this quarter, and you didn't think it was worth mentioning. Nicole's face flushed. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Richard turned back to me. Jason, I apologize. If I had known about your work, I would have introduced you to our board months ago. We're always looking for innovative partnerships. I smiled politely. I appreciate that. Eleanor touched my arm. You should sit at our table for dinner. We'd love to hear more about MedBridge. Nicole's eyes widened. He's sitting with me. Her mother's smile didn't waver. Then you'll both join us. Update 1 dinner was served at 9. I sat between Richard and a board member named Dr. Patricia Gomez, a former hospital administrator who peppered me with questions about patient data security and system integration. Across the table, Eleanor introduced me to a venture philanthropist who wanted to discuss funding mobile clinics with MedBridge logistics support. Nicole sat 3 seats down, next to her brother, who had barely spoken to her all evening. She pushed food around her plate, her smile brittle, her eyes flicking toward me every few minutes. Her cousin Lauren leaned over. I didn't know your boyfriend was the MedBridge guy. That's incredible. Nicole forced a laugh. Yeah, he doesn't like to brag. Lauren raised an eyebrow. You told me he did small business apps. I simplified, Nicole said quietly. You undersold, Lauren said. Do you know what a Series B means? He's not just successful. He's about to be rich. Nicole's smile cracked. She excused herself and walked toward the restroom. I kept talking to Dr. Gomez about compliance frameworks and HIPAA regulations. I answered questions about our user interface design and our expansion timeline. I exchanged contact information with 4 more people. Richard leaned in during dessert. Jason, I'm going to be frank. I misjudged you. I thought you were, well, not in our circle. I met his eyes. I'm not in your circle. He blinked. I built my company from scratch, I said. No legacy connections. No family office backing. I don't summer in the Hamptons. I don't know senators by first name. But I do know how to solve problems that matter. And I know how to build things that last. Richard stared at me for a long moment. Then he laughed. Fair enough. I respect that. Eleanor raised her glass. To Jason. And to partnerships that make a difference. The table clinked glasses. I smiled and nodded. But inside, I felt the weight of every condescending comment Nicole had ever made. Every time she had minimized my work. Every time she had asked me to stay quiet. She returned from the restroom 10 minutes later, her makeup reapplied, her expression composed. She slid into her seat and reached for my hand under the table. I pulled my hand away. She froze. Her eyes met mine. I saw the question there. The confusion. The dawning realization. I turned back to Dr. Gomez and continued our conversation about hospital system inefficiencies. At 10:15, the gala ended. Guests filtered out into the lobby, laughing, exchanging business cards, making plans for follow-up meetings. Marcus found me near the coat check. That was fun, he said, grinning. I didn't realize you were dating a Carmichael. I shrugged. I didn't realize it mattered. He clapped me on the shoulder. It doesn't. But watching that room realize who you are, that was worth the ticket price. Nicole appeared at my side, her clutch pressed against her ribs. Jason, can we talk? Marcus excused himself. Good seeing you, Jason. Let's catch up next week. I nodded. He walked away, leaving Nicole and me standing alone near the marble column where this had all started. She looked at me, her voice low. Why didn't you tell them? Tell them what? I asked. That you built, that Marcus Hale is your investor. I tilted my head. You asked me not to talk about my job. I followed your lead. Her face paled. I didn't think. You didn't think what? I asked calmly. That I was worth mentioning? That my work mattered? Or that your family might actually respect me if they knew the truth? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. I was trying to protect you. From what? I asked. She didn't answer. I stepped back. I'm going home. Wait, she said, reaching for my arm. Please, let's talk about this. I gently removed her hand. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice every time you introduced me as a friend. Every time you told people I did small projects. Every time you asked me to wear the cheaper suit. Her eyes filled with tears. I was wrong. I see that now. I nodded. You were. But I'm not angry. I'm just done. I walked out of the Plaza Grand Hotel, leaving Nicole standing under the chandeliers. I didn't look back. Update 2 the next morning, my phone buzzed with 17 text messages from Nicole. The first one came at 7:30. I'm sorry. Please call me. The second at 8. I didn't mean to make you feel small. I was insecure. Please let me explain. The third at 8:40. My family won't stop talking about you. My mom wants to set up a meeting. My dad says he underestimated you. I didn't respond. At 9, Marcus texted me. Great seeing you last night. Richard Carmichael just emailed asking if MedBridge would consider partnering with their foundation. Interested? I replied. Send me the details. I'll review. At 10, Nicole called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Her voice was shaky. Jason, please. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. I love you. Call me back. I deleted the message. At 11, her brother called. I answered. Jason, he said. It's Trevor. Nicole's been crying all morning. What happened? I kept my voice calm. Ask her. She said you broke up with her. That's accurate, I said. Trevor sighed. Look, I don't know what went down, but she's a mess. She really cares about you. She cared about the version of me she thought I was, I said. The one she could manage. The one who didn't threaten her sense of control. Trevor was quiet for a moment. That's harsh. It's honest, I said. He exhaled. Fair enough. For what it's worth, I think you handled last night perfectly. My parents have been insufferable snobs for years. It was good to see someone put them in their place without saying a word. I almost smiled. Thanks. If you change your mind, Trevor said. She's at her apartment. But if you don't, I get it. I hung up. At noon, Eleanor Carmichael called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message asking if I would meet with her and the foundation board to discuss a formal partnership. She ended with, I hope last night didn't cause any discomfort. We'd love to work with you, regardless of your relationship with Nicole. Regardless. That told me everything. At 2, Nicole texted again. I told my family the truth. That I downplayed your success because I was scared. They're furious with me. My mom says I'm an idiot. My dad agrees with her. I don't care what they think. I care what you think. I read the message twice. Then I put my phone down and went for a run. When I got back, there were 3 more texts from her. I didn't read them. That evening, I met with my co-founder, Priya, at our office. She looked at me over her laptop. You're trending on LinkedIn. I frowned. What? She turned her screen toward me. Someone from the Gala had posted a photo of Marcus and me talking, with the caption, ran into Jason Chun, founder of MedBridge, at a charity event last night. If you're not watching this company, you should be. The post had 2,000 likes and 300 comments. One comment caught my eye. It was from Lauren, Nicole's cousin. Jason is brilliant and kind. Some people didn't see his value until it was too late. Priya raised an eyebrow. Context. I told her the whole story. The Gala. Nicole's warnings. The public reversal. The breakup. Priya leaned back in her chair. She really told you not to talk about your job? I nodded. At a charity gala, where the keynote donor is your lead investor. Correct. Priya shook her head. That's not insecurity. That's sabotage. I didn't disagree. She closed her laptop. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. Better than fine, actually. And I was. For the first time in months, I felt clear. Unburdened. Free from the weight of someone else's shame. Update 3 Nicole showed up at my apartment 3 days later. I opened the door and found her standing in the hallway, her eyes red, her coat buttoned against the November chill. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside. She walked into my living room and sat on the edge of the couch. I stayed standing. I've been thinking, she said. About everything. About us. I waited. I was wrong, she said. I know that. I treated you like you were less than you are. I was embarrassed by my own insecurity, and I projected it onto you. I'm sorry. I nodded. I appreciate the apology. She looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. So we can fix this? No, I said. Her face crumpled. Why not? I said I was sorry. I'll do better. I'll introduce you properly. I'll tell everyone how amazing you are. Nicole, I said gently. You introduced me as a friend because you didn't want your family to see me as your equal. You told people I did small projects because you didn't want them to take me seriously. You asked me to wear a cheaper suit because you didn't want me to outshine you. I was scared, she whispered. Of what? That if they knew how successful you were, they'd like you more than me. I sat down across from her. That's the problem. You saw my success as a threat instead of something to celebrate. You wanted to keep me small so you could stay big. She wiped her eyes. I didn't mean to. I know, I said. But you did. And I can't be with someone who needs me to shrink so they can feel comfortable. She stared at me, tears streaming down her face. I love you. I don't think you do, I said. I think you love the version of me that didn't challenge your sense of control. But that's not who I am. She stood, her hands shaking. So that's it. We're done. We're done, I said. She nodded slowly, then walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the knob. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. I know, I said. She left. I closed the door and stood in the quiet of my apartment, feeling the weight of the last year lift off my shoulders. 2 weeks later, I met with Eleanor and Richard Carmichael at their foundation office. They wanted to discuss a partnership where MedBridge would provide logistics support for their mobile clinic initiative. The meeting was professional, cordial, no mention of Nicole. At the end, Eleanor walked me to the elevator. I owe you an apology, she said. I looked at her. For what? For not seeing you clearly, she said. Nicole told us you were in app development, and we made assumptions. We should have asked more questions. I nodded. People make assumptions. It's human. She smiled sadly. Nicole's struggling. She knows she lost something real. She'll be okay, I said. Eleanor pressed the elevator button. Will you? I already am, I said. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Eleanor raised her hand in a small wave as the doors closed. I never saw Nicole again, but I heard things. Through mutual friends. Through LinkedIn updates. She left the foundation 3 months later and moved to California for a new job. She posted about fresh starts and lessons learned. She never mentioned me. I didn't mind. I was building MedBridge into something bigger than I had imagined. The foundation partnership went through. We expanded into 12 new states. Marcus introduced me to 2 more investors. By the end of the year, MedBridge was valued at $200 million. I'm writing this from my office in downtown Seattle. It's been 18 months since the Gala. MedBridge now operates in 48 states. We employ over 200 people. Last month, we closed our Series C round. $80 million. I met someone new 6 months ago. Her name is Anya. She's a physician who uses our app at her hospital. She knew who I was before we went on our first date. She asked me about the company, about the challenges, about the vision. She listened. She asked follow-up questions. She celebrated every milestone like it was her own. When I told her about Nicole, she said, she missed the point. What point? I asked. That you're not successful because you want to be impressive, Anya said. You're successful because you care about solving problems. That's rare and valuable. I think about the Gala sometimes. About standing in that lobby, wearing the cheaper suit, being told to stay quiet. About Marcus walking past Nicole to shake my hand. About the look on her face when the room shifted its attention to me. I don't feel vindicated. I don't feel triumphant. I feel free. Nicole spent 14 months trying to make me smaller because she thought my success diminished her. But success isn't a zero-sum game. Her family's wealth didn't make my achievements less real. My company's growth didn't make her work less meaningful. She just couldn't see it that way. The gray suit is still in my closet. I haven't worn it since that night. I thought about donating it, but I kept it as a reminder. Not of Nicole, not of the Gala, of the moment I stopped shrinking. Some people will always need you to be less so they can feel like more. They'll ask you to dim your light, to downplay your wins, to stay quiet about the things that matter. Those people don't deserve a place in your life. Last week, I got an email from Richard Carmichael. The foundation wanted to expand the partnership. He ended the message with a line that made me smile. We should have seen your value from the start. Thank you for giving us a second chance. I replied with 2 words. Let's build.